to 9, we've an extra programme following Lucinda Lampton on one of the legs of her alphabetical odyssey around Britain, focusing on T for temples. Then at the later time of 9 o'clock, Gardener's World will be providing tips on protecting plants in times of water shortage. Naked Video will be shown next Friday. Arena at 9:30 examines the phenomenally successful comic persona of Frankie Howard and gets us back on course for the rest of the evening, which looks like this.
Now, on BBC Two North from Newcastle, Rosemary Hartill presents North Report, which this week returns to a unique community for young autistic people in County Durham, to see what progress has been made since our first visit 6 months ago.
Hello. Last November we looked at a unique venture in Seaham, County Durham, the Communities for Autistic People, which is making enormous strides helping mentally handicapped young people live in the wider community with care, dignity and some independence. We were delighted by the response to that film, both in letters to us and in gifts of all kinds to the home. Tonight, news of exciting developments at Seaham. But first, a look back at Tony Baker's report at some of those benefiting from the project and some of those who've made it work.
To any casual observer, a young man walking his dog in a suburb of Newcastle would present nothing other than a perfectly normal sight. But Glyn Legette is afflicted by autism, one of the most complex forms of mental handicap. Glyn lives at home with his mother and stepfather, with whom, because of his handicap, he can't communicate. The compensation, however, is that Glyn, who is 29, is cared for in a warm family environment. Glyn, therefore, enjoys physical comforts, something which not all autistic young people share. For Glenn Adams, home became an air raid shelter.
It was warm and comfortable, especially this straw just around.
The shelter on the edge of a farmer's field on the outskirts of Darlington was the bolt hole for a boy who, at the age of 6, was put into care by parents who could no longer cope. They haven't seen him since. His life became one of institutions, children's homes, special schools, units for disturbed teenagers. And when he ran away, as he often did, this is where he ran.
All human beings should be afforded dignity, whoever they are and whatever their condition. And Article 26 of the Human Rights Act does say that every human being should be helped to reach his or her full potential. And I also think that the way we treat our handicapped is one degree of the civilization of a community. And I feel too that ours has a very long way to go, a very long way.
Now, Glenn Adams lives here. He's been found a place in this new community home for autistic young people in a converted vicarage at Seaham in County Durham. It's the first of its kind in the northeast and actually, in the way in which this refuge has been established, unique in Britain. It was set up by a group of parents with autistic young people, including Fiona Legette, earlier this year. They were all worried that after school years there was nowhere else for their children to go. The bitter irony is that while Glenn Adams has been found a place here, though, Glyn Legette hasn't. While his parents are still prepared to go on looking after him at home, no money can be found for a place at Seaham. Glyn's mother is left with a wish.
Seaham can give him a residential place, it can give him tuition, it can encourage him out of this autistic state, it can realise his potential. Glyn is normally intelligent and his potential's great, but he's never going to realise that potential if he remains at home. because I'm not trained to deal with an autistic person. I'm just a mother.
It affects 80,000 people in Britain. There's no known cause, no cure. Most harrowing of all for the parents is the fact that, unlike other forms of mental handicap, there's not even the consolation of affection. From birth, autists are obsessive, indifferent to others, cold.
You don't get the father-son relationship. It's only now that I can maybe steal a kiss from him, or kiss him on the cheek and accept that. And now he'll occasionally come and kiss the top of my head, which is wonderful. But that's only in the last 2 or 3 years, and he's 26 years old. It's the most precious thing ever, isn't it? Parent-child. And you don't have that.
Can you... right up there!
The centre's manager is Christine Smith. Her philosophy has been to create an informal family atmosphere within which programmes can be followed to help the residents with their range of disabilities.
Come and sit down?
I think that's probably the most difficult thing to understand about autism, that it affects highly intelligent people as well as it affects severely subnormal. But yes, here we have different levels of handicap, and so we have programmes designed to cope at each level, and individual programmes in social skills, language, social training.
Right, Peter. Should we sing you a song? I know a boy and he's called Gray, and he likes to drink
alcohol.
What else do you like to drink, Peter? What else do you like to drink? And he likes to drink cups of tea.
He's a boy called Peter Gray.
He likes to be outside. And he likes to sing songs. And he tries to be, point, and he tries to be quiet and calm. Very good, lovely.
Glenn, far more able than the other residents at Seaham, doesn't need such intensive programmes as the others within the old vicarage. He enjoys his trips out to the sea or to indulge his main obsession.
Trains. When I used to watch them pass the station as it's coming through. Some are like freight trains and most are like intercity 125s.
We have to let him go and try for himself, with support if he needs it. With support, we have to guess when he needs it, because sometimes he can't ask for it. So we have to guess that he needs someone with him or needs some support. And sometimes when you drop him off somewhere and you're driving away and he looks very lonely, but you've got to let him do it, you've got to let him try himself. But always be there for him when he needs you.
You went all the way to Birmingham?
On
the train?
Yeah. It's because there's mostly interested in favourite places. So I can try out some place by myself.
Did you like Birmingham?
Yeah.
What did you do there?
Well, I didn't do much this time because everywhere was shut and it wasn't too packed.
Well, we're watching television, listening to pop records and pop tapes, and so on. That's all I do. I just do here.
Glyn Legette's life centres on his room in the family home.
I know, I've got church friends. I go to church, I've got church friends.
What sort of people do you see when you go there? Just friends of the family, or?
Just friends of the family, that's all I see you on.
Do you like going to church then?
I do, yes. I go to Eton Baptist Church. Yeah, I've got plenty of friends at church.
Like the hymns?
Yeah, I enjoy the hymns, yeah. The hymns are about the same every week.
Now, this conversation took place on only the second occasion we'd met, a chat with a stranger. But his autism means that this is the kind of openness he can't share with those closest to him.
He won't hold a conversation at all with me. The only time he ever speaks at home is if he wants something and I don't provide it. It's almost like being used as a tool.
All romantic.
I do find it hard. I try to be understanding because I don't really know the reason for this. I just feel intuitively that Glyn does love me. In fact, I could almost say I know that he loves me. For instance, on Mothering Sunday in church, the minister put a question to the children and he asked them something about their mothers, and Glyn shouted from the gallery, "I love my mother," which was an astonishing thing to happen. I cried. I just broke down and cried. I love my mother. And yet, sometimes he appears so cold and indifferent that it's hard for me to accept that he does, that he is fond of me. I just have to know inside that he is, and accept the mute condition.
Mr. and Mrs. Leggett have to continue looking after Glyn because Newcastle City Council says it can't afford to give them a grant for a place at Seaham. The council says it has at least 500 other similar deserving cases and the budget simply won't stretch.
Parents want Seaham because of what it can achieve. It helps their children to overcome, gradually, the worst aspects of their handicap. On the wards of large mental institutions, even at home, they could vegetate. Here, they're not allowed to. They're encouraged to confront their handicap, especially the worst part of all, shunning human contact.
Jamie! It's lovely to see you. Jamie, you touch Claire.
Yeah.
Good. You're touching Claire, good boy. Can you now touch Steve? Where's Steve? Can I help you? Where's Stephen? There he is. Can you touch Stephen? Yes, good boy. That's lovely.
Can I have another sweet?
You can. Chris is going to hold
Steve's hand.
Good.
No.
What are you going to...
the one.
No.
Claire, what are you going to say to Robert?
No, Steve, no.
Robert, would you?
No, Steve, no.
Which one would you like, Rob?
No, Steve.
Would you like a Rolo?
No.
No sweets.
No, Steve.
So what do you say to Claire?
No.
All right. Robert doesn't want a sweet, Claire. That's okay.
So it is quite difficult for an autistic person, first of all, to sit close to someone else. It's difficult for them to look at someone else, and it's difficult for them to actually communicate in any way.
Would you like to sing a song for us?
Wet and yellow and pink and green, orange and purple and blue. And in a rainbow, in a rainbow, in a rainbow too.
Wasn't that good? Give Claire a clap. Wasn't that good? It was lovely. Rob, come and join us in the group. Come and join us.
No.
Come and have one of these sweets.
No.
Yes, I think Rob should join us. Come on, Robert. Come and just join us, because everyone else has had a very good time.
Yeah.
The process is not without its risks and can seem very distressing.
Come on, Robert. No. Here we go. No. Rob's going to join us in the group.
No.
Yeah, come on.
I don't like it.
That's very good.
No.
Robert is a very good lad. Well done. Here he is.
No.
But for Robert, whose whole life has been one of withdrawal, a firm but gentle easing into contact with the others breaks the barrier he's put up.
Hello, Rob. Oh, it's nice to have you here. It's really good. Peter?
I was trying to achieve success for Robert, because while Robert was on the edge of that group, he was failing, and he knew it. The fact that the others had managed, and it's very difficult for them to do that. They'd done that very well, to actually come close and to stay close and to tolerate another person near them. And Rob knew that that was the object of the session, partly, and he also knew that he was left out in the cold. But his problems would not allow Robert to comfortably join that group. He was too worried, he was too anxious, he could not allow himself to succeed. Therefore, to prevent Robert from failing, it's essential that we put in some support, and that support was in the form of actually physically lifting Rob into a situation where I could say to him, well done, you've done it.
You did so well. You did so well. Shall I sing that Robert song?
Robert, good night, Robert. Robert, good night. Good night, Robert. Tonight, Robert, I'll see you in my dreams. Now, he showed signs of distress at being in the group, of cooperation. But he would have been more distressed, and it would have been less of an achievement for him to have finished that session without actually getting to the point where that he knew I was asking of him. So, I'll see you in my dreams. Robert, good night, Robert. Robert, good night. Good night, Robert. Tonight, Robert. And he was distressed for a little while. It didn't take long after that until he was back to his happy, normal self.
It's now 28 years since Enoch Powell, as health minister in the Macmillan government, first raised the idea of getting more people out of mental hospitals and into communities like this one. The latest initiative is the Griffiths report, which suggested targeting resources through local authorities, who already face stark choices about matching money to need. So, as the system changes, will enough money come through, not only for those people here, but also for those who wait?
For Glenn Adams, the question may be academic. A case conference at Seaham is delighted with his progress. Soon there may be a second home, a smaller one for the most able young autists, where they can enjoy more independence.
I don't mind living in another placement, like moving out.
Would you like to live in a place on your own?
Nah.
So you feel that it would be nice to have people like Leslie, Mike, Steve around?
Yeah.
But for Glyn Leggett, the question certainly isn't academic. Because unless the money comes through that so far's been denied, his future will centre on this room, with his parents, until they die.
That was last November, but just last week, the Seaham project opened its second home for 7 new residents at another old vicarage in the town, and with Newcastle City Council now committed to funding 4 of those new places. Glyn Leggett was one of those fortunate enough to be given a place of his own. Glenn Adams has also moved into the new space he badly wanted. Indeed, he helped with the renovation and decoration of Orchard House, where 2 days ago, Glyn's parents were able to fulfil their wishes and visit their son in his new home.
Very, very strange this morning for me to come in here and meet him. You see, he's been in my care. 30 years is a long time. He's been my day and night care for 30 years. And then suddenly to hand him over, it felt very much like putting one's child in school on the very first day. Very mixed feelings. I bet he's been waiting since the crack of dawn. Where is he? Hi, Christine. Oh, hello. Lovely to see you. You
Nice to see you.
Hi, Glenn.
Hello, Belle.
Nice to see you. Hello, Glenn. Hello.
Is it lovely
You
to see
had
Mum and Dad?
You had a happy day yesterday. I can smell a beautiful smell of something cooking. Are you helping to prepare the dinner? Can I come in? Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning.
There's a shower for me to have for you, actually.
Oh, there's a lovely smell of cooking coming from here. What are they making for dinner today?
Cheese and broccoli, potato and bacon.
Having what?
Cheese and broccoli, potato and bacon.
Cheese and broccoli, potatoes and
There's
bacon.
a shower I can have for you, actually. There's a shower.
You've got a shower here, have you, Glenn? Oh, that's very good. When it came up to 2 days in the desk diary from arriving, then he became quite anxious and apprehensive. So I tried to keep very calm and relaxed and explained to him that he would have quite a free and easy lifestyle here, and that he was in fact only half an hour by car from home, and that probably he would be allowed home whenever he wished to come, but there would be that freedom, that choice. And then he gradually came down, and in fact by the time we arrived here he was quite happy about things, and he ran in, he positively ran in. He recognised Chris and one or two members of staff he'd met before, and he was thrilled.
We've had a very good year with the first vicarage, the old vicarage, and we were able to actually go ahead on this property ourselves. We're becoming stronger and financially stronger, and we were able to take this property on as the next step. So this group here, we're at the next developmental stage, which is learning to understand yourself, learning how you affect other people, and learning some empathy, learning how to tune in to other people. And therefore, their quality of life is going to much improve if they can understand what's going on in other people's minds and learn how to make a relationship. And relationship building will be a very, very big part in the work that we do with this group.
I was considering about trying out 20 years. Life without losing a temper tantrum, damaging, or doing a disappearing trick, or doing something stupid.
Glenn is very relieved to be down here. He did very well at the old vicarage, and I think with the staff support that he had, it was a very successful year for him and a very good step. But we were all aware that he was a one-off at the old vicarage and needed something a bit more specialised for his particular needs.
I decided that an nice ice blue could do me a nice interest. It's bigger than the last room up the road. At least I've picked it as well. The only thing I can hear passing by is trains. I picked it because of a good view of the railway line.
He's already showed that he's actually getting a lot out of it. I think he's very pleased that he actually sees himself amongst a more normal peer group, amongst a peer group that is more similar to himself. And he's actually started to develop some relationships with the other residents. And he sees that he's definitely progressed. He sees that he's definitely made a step and almost earned a place down here by showing that he's more capable, behaving more appropriately, and has really developed more appropriate and sophisticated ways of interacting with other people.
Well, there's about another 5. There's four missing.
There's another box here, Glenn. Let's see if I can find any more, because we've got a lot of people for lunch today, haven't we? Lovely.
It's
Good girl.
this morning.
Lovely. Shall I move that nearer? I think that's enough. That's enough. Now, what are we going to put in now, Rachel? What's this? What's that?
Cauliflower.
Well, it's a bit like cauliflower. It's broccoli, isn't it?
Broccoli.
You need to put some broccoli in.
Yes.
Should we got the newsagents this afternoon?
Sure.
Remember what you're going to do there? What is it you want to do?
Buy the Guardian.
Uh-huh. You weren't going to just buy one. You want one every day, don't you? So what are you going to do?
Have to pay.
Well, you have to order one,
Have to
won't you?
order one, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
And what do you think the man, the newsagent, is going to ask you?
I'm living.
Where you're living? That's right. Where do you live? Remember the address?
Orchard House.
That's right.
Maureen Terrace.
Maureen Terrace, brilliant, that's right. In we go. Smashing. Right. Hello.
Who's going to order a Guardian, please?
The Guardian, yeah? Every day?
Please.
What's the address, please?
Orchard House. Maureen Terrace.
Maureen Terrace. Oh, that's the old vicarage. That's right?
That's right.
Yes.
What name was it again?
Gwyn. G-O-I-N.
G-R-Y-N.
No, wrong spelling. G-O-I-N.
G.
No,
Right.
I'll write it down now.
Right, go on then. It's the easiest way. And I'll get it right.
Right.
Lovely. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks indeed.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
What we're basically talking about is trying to help them to grasp abstract concepts. Emotions, atmospheres, feelings are extremely difficult for them to understand. So what we're doing is trying to broaden their understanding in these areas in a relevant way, which is why all the work that we'll be doing will be based on their experiences.
Rachel, is there any salt down there, please? Would you like a pepper, please? What would you?
Do you like Horlicks, Rachel?
Yeah.
I enjoy Horlicks or Ovaltine.
Horlicks.
Yes, I love
We've got Horlicks, haven't we? Perhaps we'll get Horlicks in here.
Do you like hot milk and drink at night time, Jim? What do you like? What's your favourite? Do you like hot chocolate or Horlicks or Ovaltine?
Tea.
Oh, you prefer tea at night? Oh, well, we've got plenty of tea. Right, Glenn. What we'll do, we'll have a little look and a chat about some of the books that you brought from home. Can you tell me about this book? What's
London.
this one about? London. You enjoy going to London, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Where do you like best in London, Glenn?
St James's Park.
In St James's Park. What's this family doing?
Feeding the ducks.
That's right. And there's a family there.
Mm.
All those trees. It's a lovely day. So how are they feeling, do you think, Glenn?
Quite happy.
I think so. Quite happy. The sun's shining. They're having a lovely time.
Yeah.
What's that word, Glenn?
Contented.
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 Mm.
Do you know what we mean by contented?
Feeling happy.
That's right.
Being out in the fresh air.
That's right. Enjoying being outside.
Right.
When do you feel contented? When do you feel happy? Quite happy with the world.
That's it, yeah.
Quite happy with yourself.
Yes.
And with everybody around you.
Yes.
When do you feel like that?
Being here with the staff.
Are you feeling contented? Well, that's nice to know.
Right. Mm.
We're encouraging him and teaching him, giving him the skills to interact with other people. And we'll be doing that sitting down at a table, as you saw there, in a formal way. We're also doing that incidentally during the day-to-day practical business of living in the home. He will, of course, need a lot of support and a lot of help to actually come out of himself and make that contact with other people.
I just feel like people must do when they win the pools. I just feel thrilled, excited, as if someone's taken a whole weight away from me. I just almost walk lighter, walk taller. It's such a relief to know that he's here and in care. I feel now that if I'm ill, I needn't fret about it. Who's going to cope with Glyn? I'm not able to cope physically for him, with him. I just feel that the future's absolutely secure, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful feeling of security. I'm delighted.
Social skills, which obviously the staff are very aware of and have, what we're trying to do is transfer those skills to the residents. And Glenn has actually been very good in teaching Glyn since his arrival, which has been fascinating. Glenn has actually been picking Glyn up on the fact that he just nodded his head to say no, he didn't want a biscuit. And Glenn said, don't just nod your head, a few words will do, which is wonderful because that's what a member of staff would be saying to him.
In the future, we look to have a family here, a group who will feel gelled together, feel they are a unit, working on their problems, because we're not going to cure autism. That's very clear. We can't cure it. But as I say, we can give these mechanisms, these ways round it. We can say, yes, the problems are always going to be there for you, but we can predict for you where they're going to be, and we can explain to you, we can teach you that in any situation, you're okay, you can cope, because you know you're the same as anyone else who has a problem.
The great endeavours of those working and living in the communities for autistic people may well provide a blueprint for future cooperation between the public and private sectors caring for the handicapped. It's a story we'll be keeping you in touch with as it develops. Next week, the continuing problems of asbestos and how 1992 will affect British health and safety standards. Until then, good night.